Angela Rye, former executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus, and Paul Begala, former counselor to President Bill Clinton, and the author of the new book, You're Fired, The Perfect Guide to Beating Donald Trump. So, Angela, you are close to Senator Harris. I know you spoke with her today. President Trump went on in that briefing, and Caitlin was referring to his line of attack. He said, quote, she was very, very nasty. To one of the reasons that surprised me, she was probably nastier than even Pocahontas to Joe Biden. She was very disrespectful to Joe Biden. It's hard to pick somebody that's that disrespectful. Of course, nasty is a word he likes to use, right? He used it a lot with Hillary Clinton. Is this just how just a taste of how it's going to go, Angela, that he's come out right away with that word?
Well, first, I just want to correct. I texted her today. I haven't talked to her. And I will say, that's okay, Erin. You got a lot to do besides my text messages. But I was going to say, you know, I'm not surprised by Donald Trump. He normally lodges this kind of attack against women, particularly women of color, particularly Black women, from Jamel Hill to Congresswoman Maxine Waters. It's no surprise at all that this is the line of attack that he chooses against Senator Kamala Harris, as well as one of her colleagues, Senator Elizabeth Warren. It is just like Donald Trump. He is super intimidated by women who have their voice, who understand who they are and what they bring to the table. And so nasty women, nasty and ambitious women, it will be all the way until the election day.
And so Paul, you know, is this what he's going to try to do? And do you think that it is fruitful at all for Democrats that they found that he donated multiple times to her attorney general's campaign?
Yes, I think it's sort of an inconvenient fact, isn't it, that Donald Trump, he thinks she's terrible, but he gave her $6,000 his daughter donated to her. I do have to say that my friend Angela called this yesterday. We were on Monday, and Angela, you got it. I'm so psyched. I'm so impressed by you, always have been, but you nailed this. And just for Democrats like us, that takes a ton of guts, right? I mean, people like me, I think I did the right thing for me, which was step back, let Joe make his decision. But Angela was out there and called it, so hats off to Angela. You could see in that presser, Trump doesn't know what to do. Does he attack her for being Black, for being the daughter of immigrant from India, for being a woman? It's like the racist roulette wheel was spinning in his head. He just didn't know where to land. I do think it's noteworthy that actually a woman just sent me this on Twitter, but she's right. When somebody challenges Donald Trump, especially a woman, but even men, he gets rid of them. Kamala challenged Joe in those debates, and he admired it. He likes a strong woman. He likes a strong, even when somebody's standing up to him. I have had the honor to be in the Oval Office. There's nothing more important than to have people there who will stand up to the president. And Kamala's already proven she can do that.
All right, so I want to play that moment, and I know everyone's seen it, but I want to play it for a specific reason because of something you said. Paul, it's usually played in the context of, man, how could he pick her, or he's so wonderful to be overcome this, and how awful that moment was for him. Okay, but one thing that I saw in that moment, Angela, was something Paul just said, which is Joe Biden seemed to kind of be shocked, but have admiration. Even in that moment, like, okay, you're bringing it, and I didn't expect someone to bring it, but wow. Let me just play it again.
I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden. I do not believe you are a racist, and I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
And it was in that turn in that moment which continued to show. But Angela, you know, what does it say to you that he picked her?
Well, it says to me that he may be reckoning with his past, that he's ready to atone for the decisions he made as a legislator that have not served Black people well, including the little girl who was bused to school in California. right? And maybe this is a turning point. Maybe the fever pitch that this country reached with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so many others, maybe he finally heard those cries and he's willing to say, you know what, I didn't get all of those things right. Time will tell, right? But I think that we're a hell of a lot closer, Erin, with Kamala Harris being at his side.
So, Paul, Senator Harris is a household name, right? She ran for president. People know her, okay? Most people know of her. Biden surely picked her for several reasons, right? Of course, though, she is a black woman, right? And that is, you know, Angela was among many who wrote a letter saying he needed to pick a black woman. Yet, in a Quinnipiac poll in November 2019, which was the last poll that we have just before she dropped out of the race, Paul, she was polling at 5% with African-American voters. So, you know, and I want to get Angela to weigh in on this too. But Paul, how important is that going for that voting block in her selection to Joe Biden?
Well, some of it, as Angela pointed out yesterday morning when she was publicly calling on Joe to pick Kamala, some of it is just, I'm trying to think of a nice way to put it, but political manners, right? Joe is the nominee of my party because of African Americans, particularly African American women. So some of it is that, but some of it is also that she's just so dadgum talented. I mean, she's shown, I know she didn't do well in the campaign, but she's shown in those debates. And the fact that she ran and did poorly, I think is an asset. Joe Biden ran against Barack Obama and did poorly, but it made him a better candidate when he did run for vice president. Bill Clinton picked Al Gore, who had run a terrible campaign in 1988, was a great running mate in 1992. So having been through that gauntlet, and I think she'll be the best governing partner, too, irrespective of gender and race.
Quick final word. Angela, what would you say? Is she going to, you know, cause passion among black voters, particularly black female voters, that we did not see in those early polls?
Well, what I'm going to tell you, Erin, you brought up the letter with the 700 black women who signed on to it. There's not a woman I talked to today that wasn't screaming, crying, and thanking God. So I think that polling numbers change. They have since the racial tension that is unfolded in this country over the last several months with COVID and George Floyd. We're ready. We're ready.
Thank you both very much.
Bald white guy was dancing around too, Angela. You don't leave us out.
All right, bald white guy.
All right. Next.